Hey everybody, welcome to this webinar. This is the first time that I do this, so I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm using Google Hangouts and I've connected it to the live webinar page on getpaidforyourpad.com. I see there's a bunch of people in the chat. Um, if you are watching this and if you can hear me, could you do me a favor and just go to the chat window right beneath the video, and could you let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me? That would be very helpful if you could do that. I'm just gonna say hello. Hey everybody, welcome to this webinar. This is the first time that I okay, I guess somebody can hear me and see me. What's up, Matt? Good to see you here. And so Thomas is saying, nice clean tiles behind you. Thanks a lot, Thomas. And for your information, that orange fridge in the back is also a very conscious decision of me. To apparently it was the first time that the SMAC company that they delivered an orange fridge. So they actually asked me if uh, they got the right one, and they did. Awesome. So I think everything is working, which is a big relief because I tried to organize this webinar last week, and just as I was about to start, my Google Hangouts didn't want to connect to the live webinar page, so I had to disappoint all these people, and I felt really bad. But it seems to be working now, so that's awesome. I'm just going to wait a few minutes till it's 5 o'clock, and then I'll kick this off. If you guys have any questions or suggestions, then feel free to let me know in the chat window. Always looking to get some feedback. What did you buy first, the orange polo shirt or the orange fridge? Well, Matt, I bought the orange fridge a long time ago, back in 2007 when I bought this place. So it's an oldie, and this shirt I actually don't remember when I bought this. But I'm all in orange, and as you probably know, it's the Dutch national color. So since I'm in Amsterdam in my own house, I'm not getting paid for my pet right now because I'm staying in it. Um, so, Danny, good to see you too from Toronto. I'm happy to let you know that I'm having some guests from Canada arriving tomorrow, and they're from British Columbia. So I believe they'll probably be from Vancouver. So we have people from Canada, we have somebody from Ireland, we have some Dutch people. So it's all pretty cool. Now I'm gonna test one more thing. I'm gonna try and share my screen with you. I'm getting some text messages. Somebody says, I don't know how I can communicate with you. Are you supposed to see us as well? No, I'm not supposed to see you. As opposed to Google Hangout, this is a Hangout on air, so you guys can see me and I cannot see you. But you can communicate with me just below the video screen. You'll see a little chat window, and you can use that to communicate with me. So I hope that answers Wendy's question. All right, so I'm going to try and share my screen with you guys because I prepared this presentation. So let's see if I can pull this up. Screen share. Okay, this looks really weird. Okay. So I have one more question for you guys. Do you guys see a PowerPoint presentation right now? And we have somebody from Taiwan just checking in. Her name is Angela. Angela, welcome to this webinar. Let's see if I can chat here. Just trying to get the chat window on my iPad so I can monitor the chat while I'm talking and doing my presentation. Awesome. So I think we're all good to go. And again, this is the first time that I do this, so just kind of trying to figure out how everything works. Okay, so it seems like people are seeing what they need to see. So let's start. The reason why I wanted to do this presentation is because I went on a trip to Paris. And as always, I like to stay at Airbnb places. So I did a little search, and I noticed a few things that the listings that I was looking at, they weren't very good. There was a lot of mistakes that can really hurt the income potential of your listing. And I just thought it was such a waste that people don't make the maximum out of their listing. So I decided to write down the 5 most common mistakes that I saw. And these are things that are very easily fixed, but they can have a big impact on your listing. And I know this because when I started, my listing wasn't very good in the beginning either. And as I started to learn more about how Airbnb works, how the system works, how the search engine works, I became more aware of what all the things that you can do to improve your visibility, to improve your position in the search ranking, to get more bookings, to get more people to look at your listing, and to make sure that the people who do stay at your place, that they have a good experience and they leave you with a nice 5-star review, which is in the end, it's really all about the reviews. Those play a big role in the Airbnb system. So I am going to start this presentation, and let's talk about the first and probably the biggest mistake I see people make, and that is about the pictures. Now, pictures are, if not the most, it's one of the most important things about your Airbnb listing. Because the way people search, and I don't know if everyone has used Airbnb during traveling. I figure most of you will probably be hosts, but if you've ever traveled with Airbnb in the past, then you probably know that the way you look at a listing is you type in the city where you want to go, and you press the search button, and you'll find a screen with the search results. And the first thing that you look at is the picture that you see. If you don't like that first picture, then there's no chance that you're going to book it. You're not going to look at the listing if the first picture isn't right. And when I say right, I mean it has to be very clear. It has to show something nice, so like a nice aspect of your apartment. Could also be something in the neighborhood. Maybe there's a really cool park nearby, or think about what's the reason for people to visit your area. If there's something specific about your area, then it's cool to put up a picture of the neighborhood, and maybe like a view. I stayed at a place in Paris that was clear close to the Eiffel Tower, and it had a picture by night. And one of the reasons why you want to go to Paris is to see that Eiffel Tower, and it looks really nice at night. So when you see that picture of the Eiffel Tower and the lights, it looks awesome, and you just want to click on that listing and check it out. Because the way your brain works is it'll associate the listing with the positive emotion that you feel from looking at that Eiffel Tower. So the first thing is, first picture has to be really good. Now, these days, you can also see the other pictures, and this used to be different. A while ago, you could only see the first picture, and if you wanted to see the other pictures, you had to click on the listing and check them out. But now you can scroll through the pictures as you're searching, so you don't have to leave the search page. Now, this means that the other pictures that you have for your listing suddenly are much more important than they used to be. Because now people will go through all your pictures in the search results, and if they like the full package, then they'll click on your listing and check it out. So why are pictures so important? It's the first thing that people will look at. It will determine whether people will check out your listing, and if the first picture isn't good, then you're done. People aren't going to look at your listing. Now, if the first picture is good and people scroll through your other pictures and they can't find everything that they want to know, then you also have a very small chance that they will click through to your listing. With that being said, here's how you can make sure that you have your pictures perfectly. First of all, if you haven't gotten the Airbnb photographer to come to your place and take pictures, you should do this as soon as possible. It's free, and it's a professional guy, knows how to take pictures, and I see pictures of apartments that have been taken with iPhones, and it just doesn't look good. So take that opportunity and get the Airbnb photographer to come by. Now, the problem is you can only get this once. And I actually made a mistake when I first got the photographer to come over. I didn't prepare my listing very well. Fortunately, I did make sure my house was very tidy and there was enough light, but I didn't make my beds. So the pictures of my bedrooms, they could be better. You know, the bed could have been made up a little bit nicer. So please don't make this mistake. If you do get the photographer, then make sure the beds are made, the house is tidy, there's no personal stuff lying around, there's a lot of light, and that way the pictures will just come out best. Now, another thing I see a lot is that people have nice pictures, but they don't have enough of them. Imagine you're a traveler and you book a place far away from your house. You want to know what to expect. You want to know what it looks like. You know, half of the fun of going on a holiday is looking at where you're staying, look at the neighborhood, look at all the restaurants, look at all the things that you can do. This is half of the fun. People get excited about going on a holiday. For a lot of people, they only get one holiday a year, so it's really important. They want to see where they're going to stay. So they want to have a picture of every room, get different angles, and don't forget to take pictures of the outside areas, the neighborhood, anything that's cool about your neighborhood. Just walk around the neighborhood and ask yourself, hey, what's cool about this place? You know, maybe it's a bar. Maybe it's a terrace with a lot of people, or people having some coffee, having a drink in the sun. Maybe it's a park. Maybe it's a lake. Maybe it's a cool piece of art. You know, just go around your neighborhood, make pictures of everything that you think is cool. And you can add as many pictures as you want to your Airbnb listing. So there's really no downside in adding more pictures. Now here's two more things that you might not think about that can add a little bit extra information to your listing. I had a few questions when I just started out. I have an apartment with 2 bedrooms, and people would ask me if the bedrooms were located close to each other. And this is probably for privacy reasons, as I got a lot of groups of 4 people, and it would consist of 2 couples. So they want to know, you know, are they right next to each other, or are they away from each other, so they can make some noise for whatever reason. And so I decided to draw a little floor plan of my apartment, and I actually get feedback on this. It's really easy. Just I'm no by far a good artist, or a good I can't draw very well, but I just created this little floor plan, and it just helps people understand what your apartment looks like and what they can expect. Now the second thing is, and I didn't write this down in the PowerPoint presentation because I actually just noticed this a few days ago, that this was a good thing to do. Wi-Fi is becoming more and more important, and people want to know if you have fast internet. Now you can say that you have fast internet, but a way better way to do it is you go to speednet.net and you do a speed test. And after you do the speed test, you make a screenshot and you add that to your photos. So now you're not just saying that you have fast internet, but people can actually see how fast it is. Now, I talk a lot on the podcast. We always talk about how it's important that your listing is very accurate, because people base their expectations on the information you provide them with. So it's important to provide people with very accurate information. And when you show a picture of your internet speed, that's the most accurate information that you can provide. So that's mistake number 1. Now I just wanted to say that if anyone has any questions or suggestions, feel free to say something in the chat. I do have my iPad here, so I'm watching the chat, and I just I see that Matt, he's laughing, and he says, make some noise. Not sure what he's referring to, but anyway, just want to let you know, if there's any questions, please just put it in the chat, and I can answer them right away. All right, so let's go to the second mistake. The second mistake is about communication. Now, as I said before, I think it's really good for Airbnb hosts to put themselves in the position of a traveler, of a guest. Let's say that you travel to the other side of the world and you're staying in somebody's place and you booked it through Airbnb. Now, what's the number one concern that you would have? I've spoken to a lot of people who've used Airbnb, and I've traveled myself a lot on Airbnb, and I know that whenever people don't want to use Airbnb, I ask them why. They always say, because I just don't feel comfortable traveling that far and then staying at somebody's place, because I have no guarantee that that person is going to be there, whether the house even exists, and if that person is going to take care of me if there's any problems. And that's the biggest difference between Airbnb and a hotel. When you stay at a hotel, you always know that somebody's going to be there. You know that there's a concierge, there's a reception, there's going to be people there. So you never be in front of a closed door. And with Airbnb, you're completely reliant on the host. If the host's not there, then you're going to be lost. You're going to arrive in the city, you stand in front of a closed door, and what are you going to do, right? It's a nightmare. So you want to feel comfortable that your host is going to be there and is going to take care of you. Now, to give you an example, I just went to Paris last weekend. I booked a place, and the host didn't get back to me. The host didn't send me any information. So on the day of my departure from Amsterdam, and the train takes about 3 hours, so I took the train in the morning, and as I was in the train, I still hadn't heard from the host. So I'm still thinking, oh, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll arrive and no one's there. I have to book a hotel or something. So it made me feel really, really uncomfortable. And this is easily avoided by communicating with your guests. So let's get into it. Good communication is half the battle won. And the reason I say this is because if you show that you're a great host, if you show you care about your guests, and you send them all the information they need, and you let them know that if they have questions, they can talk to you. Let them know that you'll be there. Let them know that you're going to do everything that you can to make sure your guest is going to be taken care of. If you let them know that, then you have half the battle won. And why do I say that? It's because people will forgive you if something goes wrong, if you show that you're doing the best you can. And there's always situations where something can happen. The neighbors can make noise, or maybe there's some drunk people walking on the street making noise, or there's maybe the internet will suddenly stop working. These are things outside of your control. If you communicate well with your guests, more often than not, they will forgive you if something does go wrong. So first of all, be responsive. Always reply as soon as you get an inquiry, a booking request, a booking confirmation, a question. Just make sure you're on top of this, because if you respond quickly, you will create the impression that you are a good host, and your guest will feel comfortable. Second thing, you want to have information. You want to send information, and this comes back to the point that I was making earlier. Half of the fun of going on a trip is looking forward to it, and the more information you have, the more fun you will have looking forward to it, right? So I provide my guests with a guidebook. It's about 15 to 20 pages. It has information about my apartment. It has detailed directions. It has pictures of the neighborhood. It has restaurant recommendations for cafes, things to do, all sorts of stuff. So people can start imagining what it's going to be like to stay at my place. And it's all about the experience. You don't get excited because of facts. Yeah, you can go to stay in an apartment that has like an infinity pool, but just that fact doesn't create an experience. It's seeing a picture of somebody in that pool that creates the positive emotion. So I have a 15-page guidebook. It's not very hard to make. Just go in Word, add some pictures, create it as a PDF, and send it to your guests attached to your welcome email. As soon as the guest book, I send them a welcome email and I attach the guidebook, and I get so much positive feedback on this that you're really missing out if you're not doing this. So number 3, ask questions. Ask your guests when they will arrive. Ask them if they arrive by train or by plane, and ask them what they are planning to do. Because the more information you have, the better you will be able to help your guests. And not just that, it also creates an impression that you're interested in your guests and that your intention is to help them. Because why else would you ask questions? Next thing, I already talked about this a lot. Contact your guests several times pre-arrival. Now this depends a bit on when your guests book. If they book a day ahead, then you don't have to contact them multiple times. But at least contact them after the booking is confirmed. Send them a welcome email. Attach the guidebook. And then also send them an email about a week before arrival, just to let them know, like, hey guys, everything is all ready to go. If you don't have the travel information yet, ask their travel information, and just let them know that you're on top of things. And then a day or two before their arrival, I like to send them another message just to confirm everything. Because if the last point of contact has been a few weeks, then people kind of forget, and they start to wonder, like, oh, is everything still okay? Did my host not forget about me? So it's always good to send them another message just a day or two before their arrival. Now, the next time you should contact your guest is after they have arrived, because this is important for three reasons. Again, you show that you care, but also, if something is not completely to the satisfaction of your guests, then you want to find out about it, because you can only address issues if you know about it. And people don't like to complain. And this is something I noticed after I started implementing all this communication. I noticed that guests, they didn't want to complain to me. They didn't want to give me negative feedback, because they started liking me. I'm sending all these nice messages, so people just don't want to complain if they think you're a nice person and you're trying to help them. I literally had to pull it out of people. I literally had to tell people, like, hey, I really, really want to hear if something's not perfect, so please tell me. So contact your guests within 24 hours, preferably the first morning after they've arrived, because that means they've had one night in your apartment. And one of the most important things when you're on holiday is getting a good night of sleep. So you want to make sure to contact them the first morning and just say, hey, is everything okay? Did you sleep well? Was the bed comfortable? Is there anything missing? Do you need anything? Don't feel free to let me know if there's anything that's not completely perfect. If you don't emphasize that, then people won't tell you small things, so you won't be able to fix them. Alrighty, so that was mistake number 2. Now, before we move on, let me just have a quick look at the chat. Oh, we have Kimberly just joined us. Hello, Kimberly. Kimberly has been on our podcast. She's a wonderful host from Buffalo, New York. Let's see, let's go to the next slide. And again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me in the chat. Mistake number 3, and this is a very small detail, but I do think it's important, and I see very few hosts that do this. Responding to reviews. Now, some people don't even realize they can respond to a review, but when a guest leaves you a review, you have, I think, a week or so to respond. What I see is that a lot of hosts only respond when there's negative feedback in the review. And I think that's a mistake because it only takes a few minutes to leave a response, and it really shows you care. If you go through the trouble to respond to a review, even though it's a great review, that really means that you're being very professional about your Airbnb listing. And just imagine, put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's looking for a place to stay, and somebody's browsing through your listing and he's checking out your reviews and he notices that you respond to every single one of them. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that this guy is on top of things, that he's professional. So that means he's going to take care of you. So don't respond to just negative ones. Respond to everyone. But if you do get a negative response, you have the opportunity to show that you are very professional by responding politely. Mention you will make the improvement and apologize if something was not great. Just say something like, "Hey, sorry for the inconvenience. I will make the improvements. I will change whatever wasn't good." And never ever argue with guests because it looks really really bad. Even if it wasn't your fault. I've seen listings where hosts literally argue and fight with their previous guests in the reviews, and it just looks terrible. You know, I personally I'm never ever going to stay at a place if the owner yells at a guest in the review. I mean, it's just terrible, and it's called winning the battle and losing the war. Argue with guests. You might win the argument, and you might be right. Maybe whatever went wrong wasn't your fault. But in the end, you're going to lose customers because of it. So you win the battle, but you lose the war. All right, next mistake. I see so many listings that have strict cancellation policy. And this is not very smart because it keeps people from booking. When you make a booking, and you can go on any hotel booking site, and you'll see that almost all hotels have free cancellation policies these days, especially through the booking engines. And that's for a reason. When you have a free flexible cancellation policy, and people can cancel up to like 5 days ahead or something, people are more comfortable making a booking because people always worry about what could go wrong, right? You book something 4 months ahead. A lot of things can happen in 4 months. So if there's a strict cancellation policy, and then you're going to worry that if something happens that you're going to have to pay for it. And that, people don't like that. So it really keeps people from making bookings. And here's the thing. Even if you set your cancellation policy to flexible or moderate, you'll see that very few guests will actually ever cancel. I mean, I've had my policy flexible for the first year, and then I changed it to moderate, and I've had maybe 1 or 2 people cancel. And if you have a listing that gets a lot of bookings, then even if somebody cancels, there's a pretty good chance that you can still get another booking. You may have to lower the price a little bit if it's last minute, but you'll still have a pretty good chance of getting that booking. So I think by having a flexible cancellation policy, you will get way more increase, you get way more bookings, and you may lose out maybe a booking a year, if that. And I think having those extra increase in bookings compensates for that. It totally outweighs that one booking that you may lose. All right, last mistake, pricing. And this is a really, really important, really important. You are missing out on a lot of potential if you are not pricing your listing correctly. And I understand that a lot of people do it wrong because it's really difficult. I remember when I set the pricing for my apartment and I didn't really know where to start. But along the way, I kind of figured it out. Now, I don't want to talk so much about how to set the initial price, but I want to talk more about how do you adjust your pricing to demand. Because the way how you set your starting price, it's a little easier. You just look at other Airbnb listings around you, and you come up with, if you're just starting out, you just pick a price that's a little bit lower than what everybody else is charging, and then just see how many bookings you get. And if you don't get enough bookings to be, about 80-90% fully booked, then you just lower your price and you keep lowering it until you are. And then once you are, you can slightly start hiring it again. So that's kind of the way how you find that initial price point. But once you've found that price point, or whatever you put it, you have to vary it over according to demand, because demand will vary over time. Now, for example, I live in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is very popular with tourists, especially on the weekends, because people do city trips. My area is very touristic, so I don't get a lot of business travelers. So that's why demand is much higher for me in the weekends than during the week. And this needs to be reflected in the pricing. So my weekends are about 30 to 40% more expensive than weekdays. Now, this could be the other way around for your area. This really depends on what type of people visit you. So what you want to do is you want to ask people. You want to ask people like, hey, what's the purpose of your visit? If most people say, oh, I'm here for business, then your weekdays should be more expensive than your weekend days, because business travelers typically travel during the week. Now you can also, we'll talk later about how you can figure all this information, where you can get this information. Now the second thing is the seasonality. In Amsterdam, it's very cold in the winter, and as a consequence, not very many people want to come down in the winter. So this has a pretty big effect on demand, and that's why I price my apartment almost at a 50% discount during the low season, which is January, February. Now this is completely dependent on your location. You could be in a place where demand is pretty steady over the whole year, or you could be in a place where it's like here, where it varies a lot, and this typically has to do with the weather. If you're in Hawaii, for example, then I can imagine that demand would be pretty smooth over the year, because the weather is always good. And if you are in Toronto, and I know that one of our viewers is from Toronto, I imagine that it's pretty cold there in the winter too. And the same is true for places like Chicago and probably New York as well. So make sure you vary your prices according to the seasonality. And another thing that people, oops, I'm going a little bit too fast. Another thing that people forget is special dates. You might not be aware of certain times of the year where the demand for accommodation in your city is really high. There's a few times that it's pretty obvious. For example, Christmas and New Year, Easter, and school holidays. Those are always times when a lot of people visit. But there could be a lot of other ones too. For example, I noticed that I got a lot of inquiries for the first week of September in Amsterdam, and I had no idea why. So what I did is I started Googling, and I started asking my guests, like, what are you doing here? And they told me about this IT conference. Now, I had no idea, but it's one of the biggest ones in Europe, and there's like 20 or 30,000 people visiting. And I just wasn't aware of it. And I can charge like 50% more because of this conference. So what do you need to do? You need to Google special events, conferences, music festivals. Just go to the website of the largest conference hall in your area and check out what they have on the agenda. And eventually you'll figure it out. and also look at how many people are attending. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is last minute pricing. I've mentioned it before, but an empty house will bring in zero. So it's better to host somebody for little money than not to host somebody for zero money. And this is not just important for the money that you'll be making, but also the amount of bookings and inquiries that you get and reviews is a very big factor in the determination of the search rank. So even if you can host somebody for free, you'll still benefit from the extra booking and the extra review. Because I'm sure if you let someone stay for free, he'll give you a 5-star review. So really take down those prices like a week or two before the check-in date, just to make sure you get your 80, 90, close to 100 occupancy rate, because that's in the end what's really going to help you in the long term. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is I'm going to give you a few tricks that you can use to determine how much demand there is for accommodation in your city. Now, the first tool I want to show you is Booking.com. I'm sure you've heard about it. If you search for a city in Booking.com, Booking.com will tell you the percentage of rooms that are reserved. For example, in Amsterdam, this is from a few weeks ago. We're still early September, and it's still a popular time in Amsterdam, and I think this is during the IT conference, so there's a lot of demand, and you can see only 64 out of 1,025 properties are available in Amsterdam on Booking.com. So that tells you that there's a lot of demand at this time, which means that you can raise your prices. Now, what you want to do is you can kind of play around with this. You can put in some different dates and just kind of see like, hey, how many hotel rooms are reserved. You can kind of look ahead, so you can put in, it's like September now, so you can put in some dates in November, October, December, put in some dates for Christmas, New Year, and just kind of get an idea of what the normal sort of rate for your city is. And then every week or maybe every 2 weeks, you check this again, and that way over time you'll get a pretty good idea of what it's like. Now, when you're looking at Booking.com and you're looking at the percentage, you may as well check out the prices too, because the hotels, they have a whole analytics team, and their only job is to determine the optimal price for the hotel room. And so what they are doing is kind of what you need to do as well. But since we are, as Airbnb hosts, we are by ourselves and we don't have a mathematical team behind us, it's a little bit difficult, but we can make use of the people that calculate these things for the hotels by keeping track of the prices. So pick a few hotels that are nearby your listing and check the price of the room every week and write them down. After 1 year, you have a pretty good idea when you can charge more and when you should charge less. So I'm just looking at the chat real quick. I see that Aisha from Curacao has joined us. Thanks for coming, Aisha. I've actually stayed at Aisha's place in Curacao. Aisha is a really amazing host. And I see Kimberly, she's saying that there has an error occurred. I can't seem to connect again with the sessions. I'm not sure what the problem is, but let me see. Does anybody else have the same problem? If you do, please let me know in the chat, and if you don't, also please let me know. You might have to refresh the window, Kimberly. That might help. I'm actually trying this myself right now on my iPad. And let's see. And it seems to work for me. So hopefully it will help if we refresh the window. Alrighty. Um, some other things that you can do to get an idea of the demand is like we talked about, we check prices and availability of hotels. You can check the calendar of other Airbnb listings. And I'm not sure if everybody is aware of this, but if you go to somebody's Airbnb listing, you can actually click on the calendar and you can see, first of all, you can see the dates that are available for that person, and you can see the prices as well. So pick maybe 4 or 5 listings, similar listings to your listing in your area, and check their calendars. See if they're, see when they're fully booked. See when they're not fully booked, because that will be an indication of how how much people are looking for accommodation in your area. Another thing you can do is you can check out visitor stats. You can go to your local tourism board. You can probably also look it up online. Just Google tourism board and then the name of your city. And they'll probably have lots of data for you, probably going back like 10, 20 years. And this will give you a good general indication of, of when people visit your city. So this is not so much helpful to determine when your neighborhood is in high demand, but it's more an indicator of when people visit your city or your area in general. So we already talked about search for events, conferences, concerts, whatever draws people to your city. Make sure you know what's going on, when it's going on, and how many people are joining. If there's a music festival and 200 people show up, then you don't have to worry about it. If it's Prince or Michael Jackson, well, Michael Jackson is dead, so that'd be tough. But some famous artist, and it's 50,000 people, then you may want to take that into account. And the last thing you can do is experiment. Just raise your prices for a while, see what happens. Lower your prices for a while, see what happens. Over time, you'll learn, and you'll be in a much better position to set that optimal price. And again, this is really, really, really important. This can really improve your income. I see a lot of listings, especially when I was looking at places in Paris. I saw so many places, really nice apartments, 1 bedrooms for $100, and it's really cheap. And I think people could really make a lot more money if they charge more. And the great thing about charging more is that you'll make more money, and you can use that money to make your place even better. You can invest it in your house. You can buy, for example, a new mattress. You can buy some new lamps or some extra tables or a new TV or whatever you think that your place needs most. If you're doing the best you can to get the most out of your listing, then you can use that to invest and be an even more awesome host. And that's what it's all about, being an awesome host. Alrighty, so we're nearing the end of this presentation. This might be a good time to tell you guys about the different ways that you can learn more. First of all, we have our podcast, which is called Get Paid for Your Pad. It's in iTunes, it's in Stitcher for Android users. And you can also check out getpaidforyourpad.com/podcast, where you can see an overview of all the awesome guests that we have on our show. We've had some pretty cool people. We've had Chip Conley, the head of hospitality of Airbnb. We've interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and his episode will go live next week. And he's sharing some really cool insight about Airbnb and things that are coming up. Some really awesome tips for hosts. I definitely learned quite a lot just by interviewing him. Now, of course, our book is available on Amazon. It's only $9.97, so that's a bargain, I would say. Um, and it comes with a free audiobook, by the way. So that's pretty cool. We also have our book with free bonuses, which are a membership to the Airbnb Academy Facebook group, which is an awesome group with quite a few people in there. We're sharing advice about Airbnb. People are keeping each other up to date on the newest developments, tools, resources, all sorts of cool shit going on. So that's one thing. And then the second bonus is my guidebook template. So you can use this to create your own template, create your own guidebook. And then, I talked about this before. It's really important to send your guests a guidebook. So it's easy to just kind of copy mine and adjust it for your area. And then the last thing is we will be organizing some live events that will be exclusive for the members in our Airbnb Academy Facebook group. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to offer a free 30-minute consultancy call for everyone who has bought the book plus the bonuses. It's available on optimizeyoureirbnblisting.com. And what we'll do is we'll get on Skype with you and we'll spend 30 minutes looking at your listing and pointing out those areas where you can improve. So if you want to get this free 30-minute consultancy call, go to optimizeyoureirbnblisting.com and get the book plus the bonuses. So that's pretty much it. The last part of my presentation is question time. And this is where you get to ask awesome questions. If you have any, of course. So the way you can ask a question is you can go in the chat and you can put your question there. Let me just type something. Ask your questions here. Alrighty, so maybe I've been very clear and nobody has any questions. Can somebody just type something just so I know that people are still connected and everything's going well? I see that Kimberly is still having problems connecting. It's still working for me. I can still see the question time sheet on my iPad. So if you have any questions, let me know. Of course, you can always email me with any questions. info@getpaidforyourpet.com is the email address. I actually get quite a lot of emails, and I had an interesting email today. I'm just gonna switch back to not sharing my screen so you can. Oh, there we go. So now you can see me. Hello. So I had an interesting email today, and oh, I see we have a question. What are some resources you recommend for determining your price for rent? And this is a question from Matt. Well, Matt, we talked about this a little bit in the presentation. So there's two things that you need to do. First of all, you need to set a starting point, sort of a basic price that you will derive the rest of your pricing from. So there's a lot of things you can do. You can look at other Airbnb listings in your area, and you look at hotel prices in your area. That will give you an idea of what you can ask, and look at some similar listings. But really, it depends on what your goal is. If you really wanna make the most money in the long term, then your first goal when you start out should be to get full occupancy. So you want to be close to 100%. Now, as long as you're not close to 100%, I recommend you lower your prices because you need to build that reputation on the Airbnb platform that is going to help you get more bookings in the future. So that's kind of how you want to start. And I don't know if you um, I don't know if you've already started with your listing, Matt, or if you've already been renting out a while. I see you're also saying something about Craigslist and Zillow. Um, well, yeah, you can look at Craigslist and you can look at Zillow, but I recommend you look at other Airbnb listings in your neighborhood. I think that will give you a better idea of where to start. And okay, Fazana, it's clear. Diego, all clear here in Buenos Aires. Awesome. So Matt, did that answer your question? Because if not, I'm more than happy to talk about it for a while. Or if you want, I can you can just buy the book and get that 30-minute consultancy call, and I'll tell you all about how to price your listing. So if there's not more questions, then I'm probably gonna wrap this up. And I want to thank everybody for joining today. I'm really happy that this worked. I was very sad last week when I prepared this whole presentation, and I was so excited to do this, and then it didn't work. So I'm happy that this time it went well. So yeah. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you one more thing. I got an email today from somebody in Bali, and she emailed me that her listing didn't show up on Airbnb. So she created a listing. For some reason, it wouldn't show up in the search results. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to fix that, because I think that's more of a technical problem with Airbnb. But obviously, I'm going to try my best and see if I can help her with that. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I love to talk to you guys. And I'll probably be having another webinar soon, because I kind of like talking and looking at myself. So, all right. See you next time. Bye-bye.